Hey there, fellow gardeners. Welcome back to Roothaven Grounds. Today I'm going to share something that might completely change how you look at those stubborn weeds taking over your garden paths and fence lines. What if I told you that the plant you've been desperately trying to eradicate contains more iron per serving than a steak, more protein than soybeans, and enough vitamins to put your multivitamin to shame? I'm talking about lamb's quarters, or Chenopodium album, the misunderstood superhero of the plant world that's been labeled public enemy #1 in gardens across the globe. Let me paint you a picture of just how incredible this plant really is. Lamb's quarters contains approximately 1.2 milligrams of iron per raw cup, which rivals and often exceeds the iron content you'd find in a comparable serving of red meat. But here's where it gets really interesting. That same cup delivers a whopping 4 grams of complete protein, making it one of the few plant sources that contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs. When I first discovered these facts, I was standing in my own garden, hand on my hip, staring at a patch of lamb's quarters I'd been planning to pull that afternoon. The irony hit me like a ton of organic compost. Here I was, spending money at the farmer's market on Swiss chard and spinach, while this nutritional titan was literally giving itself away in my backyard, asking for nothing but a bit of neglect to thrive. The nutritional profile doesn't stop at iron and protein. Lamb's quarters absolutely crushes spinach when it comes to calcium, offering about 300 milligrams per cooked cup compared to spinach's 245. It's loaded with vitamin A, with some studies showing it contains nearly 12,000 IU per 100 grams. The vitamin C content is impressive too, and it delivers healthy doses of manganese, potassium, and phosphorus. This isn't just food, it's medicine wrapped in a leaf. Now, you're probably wondering why something this beneficial would be vilified, banned, and actively eradicated in many regions. The answer lies in understanding what makes a plant noxious from an agricultural and ecological perspective, and spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with whether humans can eat it. Lamb's quarters earned its troublemaker reputation honestly. This plant is an absolute champion at reproduction, with a single mature plant capable of producing between 70,000 to 100,000 seeds. Yes, you read that right. Those seeds can remain viable in the soil for up to 40 years, just waiting for the right conditions to germinate. It's like having a time capsule of plant potential buried throughout your garden. The plant is also incredibly efficient at extracting nutrients from the soil. While this makes it nutritious for us to eat, it means lamb's quarters can outcompete crops for nitrogen, phosphorus, and other essential nutrients. In agricultural settings, this competition can reduce crop yields significantly. Studies have shown that in cornfields, heavy lamb's quarters infestations can reduce yields by 25% or more if left unchecked. From a farming perspective, particularly in monoculture agriculture where the goal is maximum production of a single crop, lamb's quarters is indeed problematic. It germinates quickly, grows rapidly, and if allowed to go to seed creates problems for years to come. This is why it appears on noxious weed lists and why agricultural extension offices recommend aggressive control measures. Here's what really gets me fired up about this whole situation. Our ancestors didn't see lamb's quarters as a problem, they saw it as providence. Archaeological evidence shows that lamb's quarters seeds were a dietary staple for prehistoric peoples across Europe and North America. The seeds have been found in stomachs of bodies preserved in peat bogs and in ancient dwellings. This wasn't a last resort famine food, it was intentionally harvested and consumed. Native Americans across North America cultivated and encouraged lamb's quarters long before European contact. They used the leaves fresh in spring, dried them for winter use, and ground the seeds into flour. The Zuni people called it quana, and it held an important place in their traditional foodways. The shift in perspective happened with the rise of industrial agriculture, when farming moved away from diverse polyculture systems towards specialized, high-yield monocultures. Anything that wasn't the cash crop became enemy. The knowledge of lamb's quarters as food gradually faded from common practice, surviving mainly in foraging communities and among those who maintained traditional food knowledge. Now, let's talk about the practical side of things for your garden. If you're intrigued by the idea of actually cultivating lamb's quarters rather than, cursing it, you can absolutely do so responsibly. The key is management and understanding its growth habits. Lamb's quarters thrives in disturbed soil with full sun, though it tolerates partial shade reasonably well. It prefers soil rich in nitrogen, which is why you'll often find it in compost piles and areas where organic matter has been added. The plant is incredibly drought-tolerant once established, making it ideal for those of us dealing with increasingly unpredictable weather patterns. For harvesting, focus on the young leaves and growing tips, which are the most tender and flavorful. These can be harvested continuously throughout the growing season, much like you would harvest spinach or chard. The leaves have a mild, slightly nutty flavor that works beautifully in salads, when young or cooked like any leafy green when more mature. I personally love sautéing them with garlic and a splash of lemon juice. The seeds are edible too, though they require a bit more processing. They need to be threshed and winnowed, then typically rinsed to remove saponins, which can taste bitter. Once processed, they can be cooked like quinoa, which is actually a close relative in the same plant family. The crucial management step is preventing uncontrolled seeding. If you're going to intentionally grow lamb's quarters, dedicate a specific area for it and harvest before the seed heads fully mature. This way, you get the nutritional benefits without creating a decades-long management problem. I want to be clear about something important. While I'm enthusiastic about lamb's quarters as food, I completely understand and respect why farmers and serious production gardeners consider it problematic. If you're trying to grow 3 acres of organic tomatoes for market, lamb's quarters absolutely is your enemy, and there's nothing wrong with aggressive control in that context. The point isn't that everyone should let their gardens become lamb's quarters jungles. Rather, it's about recognizing that weed is a contextual term, and what's problematic in one setting might be valuable in another. In your home garden, you have the flexibility to experiment, to dedicate a small corner to this plant, or to simply harvest what volunteers while it's young and tender. This whole conversation about lamb's quarters reflects something bigger about our relationship with plants and food systems. We've become so specialized and disconnected from plant knowledge that we've forgotten that many of our most troublesome weeds are actually incredibly useful. Dandelions, purslane, chickweed, plantain. The list of edible nutritious weeds is extensive. There's something profound about recognizing that solutions to nutritional needs might already exist in our backyards, requiring zero input, zero irrigation, and zero fossil fuels to produce. Lamb's quarters doesn't need you to baby it, it needs you to simply recognize its value and harvest it before you pull it. So here's my challenge to you, fellow gardeners of Roothaven Grounds, before you pull that next lamb's quarters plant. Take a moment, look at it with fresh eyes, maybe harvest those young leaves and try them in your next salad or stir-fry. Experience this plant as food rather than foe, at least once. If you found this perspective shift as fascinating as I do, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the hidden potential of your garden. Share this with a gardening friend who needs a new perspective on their weed problem, and drop a comment below telling me about the most surprising edible plant you've discovered in your own garden. Let's keep this conversation growing, just like the lamb's quarters in my backyard. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the best things in your garden are the ones you didn't plan.